It's Friday the 21st of December 2012 and you're watching Primetime News live here on News First. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
A very good evening, I'm Shen Silva.
As usual, we start off with a look at your headlines.
27 deaths reported while 14 people remain missing due to the extreme weather conditions in the island. The Sirsa Shakti Sahana Yatra begins its journey to assist those affected by the weather. The petition filed by the Chief Justice challenging the investigation and verdict of the PSC taken up in the Court of Appeal. And the Lawyers Association's collective protests against threats to lawyers.
The Disaster Management Center states that 27 people have died, while 14 people have been reported missing due to the extreme weather experienced in several parts of the island. The DMC also stated that over 56,000 people have been displaced, while over 328,000 people have been affected.
Floods have destroyed houses in the Juliawata area in Chilau. Residents were forced to leave their homes and seek shelter in a location on the main road. Meanwhile, people residing in flood-stricken areas were seen returning to their homes after floodwaters receded. Farms in Chilau, including the Mugunuwatona poultry farm, were also affected by the floods. Residents of Arachikattur have begun cleaning up their houses that were inundated. The body of an individual who was washed away by floodwaters in Adipale was found today in a paddy field. The victim was 32-year-old Ashok Dinesh, who was a father of 3. Machinery belonging to the Muragahakanda project were caught by the surging floodwaters that were triggered when the spill gates of the Bovatana reservoir were opened. Houses in Thalagoda were also destroyed by floods. People continue to remain at displaced camps in Matale. Dry rations were provided to those housed at the Rattora Baptist Vidyalaya and the Rattora Pradeshi Sabha Auditorium. Residents in Suryapura, Kantale say that although the floodwaters in the area have receded, the water levels in wells have begun to increase and decrease sporadically. Floods have also destroyed cultivations in the Yapaho electorate. Equipment was provided to people sheltered in displaced camps in order for them to fulfill their daily needs. Meanwhile, Minister of Disaster Management Mahinda Amaravira distributed kitchen appliances to those affected by the floods in Lulugam Vehera. The relevant officials will take responsibility for any shortcomings. Don't be limited to rules and regulations or documents. Be practical and assist the people.
When reporting on natural disasters, it is difficult to comprehend the true extent of losses and the despair felt by those affected. We hope the following will give our viewers an understanding of this sense of loss.
Since we are unsure of his name, let's call this child Sumudu. When will the bridge that used to take Sumudu to school feel his footsteps again? Just like the bridge which provided him access to education, the fields which sated his hunger are now ruined. While the bridge was lost to children like Sumudu in Galporugama Naula in Matale, these children in the Irankatwa 592 village in Alachikatwa Putlam will have a tough time writing in or learning from these books again. The elders of these children can do nothing but bury their faces in their palms, contemplating how they are going to rebuild homes for shelter. What feelings would these people harbour towards the weather gods who nourished these lands and then destroyed their work with a single strike?
Disasters that occur owing to changing weather patterns are given various names by people. Diahenia is a term used by many in disaster-affected areas.
This is a mountain range visible above the Nikolai estate in Rathata. On Monday, an explosion took place on the upper section of this mountain. Our houses were located here, but now they are on boulders. We don't know how this happened. There used to be a main road and houses in the location you see behind me, but with the incessant rains experienced on Saturday and Sunday, this area has now completely transformed. Layers of soil and boulders that flowed downhill with the floodwaters completely destroyed the houses in this area. 7 people have been reported missing in Rathata. The body of a person who was suspected to have been washed away by the floodwaters was found today. The victim has been identified as 52-year-old Shanmugam Sathasivam. Residents of Rathura have been evacuated to safer locations. The Disaster Management Center and the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau have instructed area residents to evacuate to safer locations if mud-colored water continues to flow downhill.
MTV, NBC Network and the Capital Maharaja organization have always been at the forefront in assisting people when they needed it the most. The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra began its journey once again to provide relief to the thousands who have been rendered helpless by floods and landslides that have ravaged several parts of the island over the past few days.
Preparations were underway since last night to launch the Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra relief effort that would provide relief to areas that were ravaged by floods and landslides. The senior management and employees of the Capital Maharaja organization dedicated their time and effort to organize the Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra. Following multi-religious observances, the Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra began its journey from the head office of the Capital Maharaja organization this morning.
MTV and MBC, being Sri Lanka's leading media network, believes that actions speak louder than words, and that is the true mark of a leader. And in that context, we realized the desperate situation for all these families around the island affected by the weather, and we decided immediately that we would resort to action rather than words.
Capital Maharaja Nirvanam. The Capital Maharaja organization as well as the MTV MBC networks have always been with the people during times of joy and grief. We are prepared to provide dry rations to the people who are affected by the floods. We hope this would be an example to others.
The Sirasa Kadamandia was a massive investment, but the management and staff decided to postpone it. The Capital Maharaja organization decided to do something for the people who have been affected. We also request our viewers and listeners to be with us at this time.
අපත් සමග මේ අවස්ථාවේදී රැඳී සිටින ලෙස අප සියලුම ප්‍රේක්ෂකයන්ගෙන් සියලුම ශ්‍රාවකයන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra will operate in the Chilau, Batiklo and Matale districts.
The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra reached Chilau this evening.
Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatrawe තවත් එක් අදියරක් වන මාතලේ බලා යන කණ්ඩායම.
The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra team that is heading to Matale reached Kandy today. The team is heading to Rattota in Matale, an area that is severely affected by the inclement weather. Those affected have been housed at the Rattota Baptist College and the Rattota Pradeshya Sabha. Relief items will be provided to them.
Rattota Pradeshya Sabha ගොඩනැගිල්ලේ සිට පිරිසට අවශ්‍ය සහනාධාර මේ වියලි ආහාර ද්‍රව්‍ය රැගෙන තමයි මාතලේ බලා ගමන් කරමින් සිටින්නේ.
The application for writs of certiorari and prohibition filed by the Chief Justice Dr. Shirani Bandaranaike challenging the findings of the Parliamentary Select Committee which examined the impeachment motion against her was taken up in the Court of Appeal today. This afternoon the court issued notices on the respondents.
The three-member bench, which heard the petition yesterday, comprising of the President of the Court of Appeal, S.C. Skandaraja, Anil Gunaratne and A.W.S. Salam, announced their decisions today. In accordance with these decisions, steps will be taken to issue notices on the respondents cited in the writ application, who are the Speaker of Parliament and the 11 members of the PSC. The writ application was filed on behalf of the Chief Justice by the legal firm Messrs. Nilakandan and Nilakandan Associates. The applications for writs of certiorari and prohibition challenges the findings of the report tabled in Parliament by the PSC and seeks the prevention of any action being taken based on this report.
The court is of the view that any steps taken in furtherance of the findings and or the decision contained in respect of the second to the eighth respondents marked P17 would be void if the court, after hearing of this application, issues a writ of certiorari to quash the said findings and or the decision of the PSC. Therefore, the relevant authorities should advise themselves not to act in derogation of the rights of the petitioner until the application is heard and concluded. Since any decision disregarding these proceedings to alter the status quo may lead to a chaotic situation.
Hearings of the writ application are to be taken up again on the 3rd of January.
Deputy Speaker of Parliament Chandima Weerakkodi commented on the notices issued by the Court of Appeal on all members of the Parliamentary Select Committee to appear before court on the 3rd of January.
හිටපු ගරු කතානායක ගරු අනුර බණ්ඩාරනායක මැතිතුමා විසින් මේහා සම්බන්ධව කාරණයකදී තීන්දුවක් ලබා දීමට කටයුතු කරා.
Former Speaker, the late Anura Bandaranaike, also provided a decision in a similar situation. The Chief Justice at the time, Sarath Nanda Silva, accepted the decision. The courts followed the verdict. When the Supreme Court is issuing notices, in this case, Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa is going to hand down a decision similar to one taken by former Speaker Anura Bandaranaike. So taking into consideration the measures taken in the past, we must act regarding the decision of the Court of Appeal. The court should also be aware that verdicts inconsistent with Section 9 of the Parliamentary Privileges Act cannot be handed down.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු වරප්‍රසාද පනතේ 9 වන වගන්තිය ප්‍රකාරව ඒ තීන්දුව සම්බන්ධව අධිකරණ දැනුවත් විය යුතුයි.